So there is the view down on the dummy grid. We have 19 drivers in DRS125 set to go. There's the number 306 of James Lay, who is due to be starting 14th on the grid. No, why are we... oh, that's the third heat. Oh, Henry, you're getting ahead of yourself. James Lay in kart number 306 starting third on the grid. I was busy looking at the next race as we do a quick technical changes up here in the commentary box. And there's the full complement of drivers. We're going to have a full grid of everybody out there. Down towards the back of this one, you can see the number 301 kart of Zach Parkinson. He made really good progress in the first heat race. And there we are looking down at the back of the grid. There's Parkinson. And also the number 247 of Mantas Zaromskas. So Parkinson and Zaromskas, two very good performances in the first heat race. Right, starting shotgun on the field. There's Morgan Cole. Morgan Cole from Newcastle upon Tyne. And but Morgan has got a lot of Welsh family, and we've got a round at Landau later this year, which Morgan's looking forward to. He's got a lot of family down here in the South Wales region that'll be coming to watch him. And Parkinson, and then Zaromskas on row 9. Row 8, there's Richard Evans, second in last year's championship. And Evans, like I said, missed the last round at Glenagore, so he's further back in the standings than you would imagine, but that's not indicative of where he is in the overall running of things generally on a race-to-race basis. There's the number 281 kart of Carl Watt, of George Friday, the 279 of Elliot Stanley starting 14th. Carl Watt in the 298 starts 13th. Rightfully there, Ty Stansfield in kart number 6. He had problems with his kart in the first race when it was wet, so hopefully they've been resolved. And Lewis Berry, issues getting his kart started in the first one, and hopefully we're going to see Lewis, who couldn't start the first race from the outside of the front row. Will he be able to start this one from his 11th position on the grid? There's Richard Evans on the rolling lap. So again, 8 minutes plus 1 lap. The grid as follows: pole position, defending champion, current champion leader Sam Faulkner in kart number 1. Thomas Massarella on the outside of row number 1 in kart number 8. James Lay and Matthew Pearce are on row number 2. Pearce, the race 1 winner. Paul Ozan and Corey Elaine are on row number 3. Will Checkley and Mark Lawrence start from row number 4. And on row 5 we have Patrick Lay and David Darling. Row 6, Lewis Berry, and I can see that Berry did get his kart off the grid and in the race, and Tyrone Stansfield. Carl Watt and Elliot Stanley on row number 7. George Friday and Richard Evans on row number 8. Row number 9, Mantas Zaromskas and Zach Parkinson. And then row 10, Morgan Cole starts shotgun on the field. Can the driver from the People's Republic of Tyne Clear make his way up the order? Here we go, on to Hanger straight. The moment the formation looks good, they go past the clerk of the course, Matt Daniels, just signaling where he wants them, just moving the drivers around. Into their 2 lines. Faulkner and Massarella. It's all going to be about how much of a good start can Sam Faulkner make. Can anybody put the pressure on the defending champion? Lights are out, we're off and racing, and Massarella comes across to take second place going into the first corner. Faulkner makes a textbook start through Cafe Corner, come the field. Oh, Mantas Zaromskas runs a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner, but everybody else is through cleanly down towards Stratford already. Faulkner trying to break away. There goes Matt Pearce up into P2 in kart number 4. Now these drivers, as we're looking at James Lay in kart 306, is also positioning well going into the Bruno chicane into 3rd position, and Massarella back to 4th. Ozan is 5th. That group there have got to get themselves organised and head off after the race leader, because if they battle, then Faulkner will just turn around, wave goodbye, and be off into the distance. It's Faulkner, Pearce, Lay, Ozan, Massarella, Lawrence, Checkley, then Patrick Lay in car number 175 in 8th position. 9th is Carl Watt, then Stansfield, Berry, Elaine, Friday, Evans, Parkinson, Cole, Stanley, Romskus and David Darling. Wheel-to-wheel stuff there as Massarella forced a little bit wide through Stratford by Lawrence. Mark Lawrence in kart 230, and they're still side by side as now Patrick Lay tries to get involved. Will Checkley has gone past them both, so Checkley moves up to the rear bumper of Massarella in 6th position. Lawrence now defending 7th from Patrick Lay. Out of the Wilkins complex, Thomas Massarella, that very laid-back driving style he's got. Experienced driver is Thomas Massarella, but he's lost a place there to the flying Will Checkley. Will Checkley having a really good day here today. He's 12th in the championship, but if he carries on like this, he'll be moving into the top 10 before the day is out, I am sure. Up at the front, well, that's not up at the front, quite at the front. That is the battle for 3rd place between James Lay in 306 and Paul Ozan in kart 277. Faulkner leads by 3/4 of a second from Matthew Pierce. Pierce has got to get his head down now and push on. Out of the Bruno chicane comes the battle for 3rd. Into Hanger Corner, Ozan looking to the outside to try and undercut Lay as they come out of the Wilkins complex. Can Ozan make the move into Park Bend? No, not quite. Through Park Bend, there's the rest of the field following through. Thomas Massarella loses a couple of positions. Ty Stansfield now into 8th place, Massarella down to 9th. There goes Faulkner, followed by Pierce through your screens. Then it's Lay, Ozan, Checkley, Lawrence. There's Will Checkley holding off Mark Lawrence in kart number 230. Mark Lawrence, the other Grandmaster. So Ozan and Lawrence, officially classified as the Grandmaster in the class. That's an age bracket. There's a sub-championship for them. And Ozan there, having to defend from Lawrence. So Checkley has moved past them, and Will Checkley looks like he's up into 3rd place. Ozan and Lawrence squabbling away. Lawrence moves into 6th position. Ozan back to 7. Ty Stansfield in kart number 6 is right behind them. And then it's Carl Watt in kart number 298 in that predominantly dark blue and red race suit. Around Stratford Corner goes that group once again. Pulling out, there's Ozan pulling out of the slipstream of Lawrence, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th into the Bruno chicane. Lawrence in 6th, Ozan 7th, Stansfield 8th, Watt 9th. Zach Parkinson from the back of the grid from 18th is the next kart in line in the red and white race suit you just saw flash across the top of your screen. Oh, sideways, Ozan at the inside of Lawrence. Can he get the kart slowed down into the Wilkins complex? Just about. And Lawrence can't fight back, but that was sideways in, and luckily straight line out for Ozan. Up at there's Stansfield now having a little nibble at Lawrence, going into Cafe Corner. He doesn't make the move stick though, and that leaves the door open for Carl Watt to make the move. Now does Carl Watt look to the inside coming into Stratford? No, but Parkinson and Richard Evans are closing in behind them. Parkinson in kart 301, Evans in kart 2. They're joining this scrap for 6th position. It's still Sam Faulkner leading by 1.1 seconds from Matt Pierce, with James Lay, Patrick Lay and Will Checkley your top 5. This kart on screen now, coming into Hanger Corner, number 277, Paul Ozan, runs in 6th position. Lawrence is 7th, Stansfield 8th, Parkinson up to 9th, at the expense of Watt, with Evans next along. So Zach Parkinson in kart number 301. Now moves into 9th place, trying to close in on the 3 karts in front of him. There's a gap has developed between Ozan, Lawrence and Stansfield. Back to this battle that already you can see, as Evans now passes Watt at Stratford. Classic move, dives at the inside under the hard braking zone, gets the kart stopped on the apex so he doesn't run out wide and get undercut coming up the runway straight. So Richard Evans moving into 10th position. Stansfield looks over his shoulder. He's got 230, Mark Lawrence right behind him, under braking for Wilkins. Ozan now beginning to creep away from them in 6th position. Battle on your screen is for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. A little bit further up, we've now got the 2 Lay brothers battling. James Lay in 306. Oh, and there's number 291 gone. That's Lewis Berry. Oh, it's been a terrible day for Lewis Berry. The driver from Battle is out of the race. He'll have to battle on in the 3rd heat. Faulkner's lead now 1.4 seconds. Here's Lay, James Lay in cart 306. Yellow flags wave. You can see Patrick Lay behind him in cart number 175, signaling he's seen that, so he won't be making a move. We've already seen some penalties for overtaking into yellow flags here today. So Wilkins is a no-go zone, while Lewis Berry's cart remains at the side of the circuit. Out of Cafe Corner. With that cart there, James Lay knows that Patrick Lay cannot pass him at Hanger Corner at the moment, so he's going to make double the efforts to defend through Stratford and into the Bruno chicane, but Will Checkley and Paul Ozana closing in. So James Lay in cart 306 is defending heavily with 90 seconds plus a lap to go. Now the yellow flags have gone in, so it's game on at Hanger Corner again. Out of the Wilkins complex to complete lap number 9. Over a minute remaining. Oh, and there's another driver you can just see flashing across your screen there, out of the race. So we've lost. Thomas Massarella has gone out in cart number 8, as well as George Friday. So we've lost Berry, Massarella and Friday. And I think Mark Lawrence has also retired. Mark Lawrence has also retired the number 230 cart. So they're thinning out here at the front. There's just under a minute to go. The battle for third place, the best battle on track still. 306, James Lay has it. 175, Patrick Lay right behind him. But you can see now, James Lay defending the inside. Patrick Lay in the blue, green and white MSV liveried race suits. And he looks to the inside briefly, but of course, it's one thing taking out a rival, it's another thing taking out a member of your own family. So that's not going to stop Patrick Lay trying everything he can to get past James and into the top 3. Stratford, and of course Ozana's now caught them all in 5th position, so Paul Ozana's got past Will Checkley. Checkley in cart 240 is trying to defend against Ty Stansfield. Richard Evans, Zach Parkinson and Carl Watt round out your top 10. Morgan Cole is up to 11th place, and still James Lay defends. He's hugging the inside line all the way down Hanger Straight into Hanger Corner, and he's still on the inside line into Wilkins, so it's the signal is clear. Patrick Lay or Paul Ozana are going to have to go high, wide and handsome if they're going to try and pass James Lay for third place into Cafe Corner for the final time. Still James Lay holding on to third position. Patrick and Paul. John and Ringo. No, that's something different. Into Stratford Hairpin. There goes Paul Ozana to the outside. Now he's going to try and undercut Patrick Lay going up runway straight, but he can't make it. Now Patrick Lay has to attack and defend. He is the filling in the middle of this Daniel Ricciardo series sandwich coming out of the Bruno chicane. Still, James Lay head down, defending through Hanger Corner. Are we going to see any last lap lunges from James? Ozana's going to go wide entrance, tight exit. Faulkner wins, Pierce second. Who's going to be third? It's going to be James Lay hangs on. Patrick Lay James Lay by 1/10 of a second holds on to third from Patrick Lay. Ozana is fifth rather. Stansfield is 6th. Then it's Checkley in 7th. Evans is 8th. Parkinson 9th. Carl Watt is 10th. Morgan Cole is 11th. And behind them, Elliot Stanley 12th. Mantas Zaromskas 13th. Corey Elaine is 14th. David Darling rounds out the top 15. And that were the only 15 drivers that finished, because Mark Lawrence, Lewis Berry, Thomas Massarella and George Friday failed to finish. So we can see the sun shining down on the circuit now, and there will be a break for lunch at the conclusion of this race. So for the final time in this morning session, the next round of heat races will begin a little bit later on, but for the final time this morning, we'll go down and have a little chat with the top 3 in that DRS125 heat. Don't go away. So here we are down in the scrutineering area with our top 3 finishers: Sam Faulkner, Matt Pierce, James Lay. Well, business as usual, Sam. There was no worry about tyre choice, and you were able to get a good start, take advantage of it, and cruise away. I'm sure it wasn't that easy, though, was it?
Well, helped start on pole, so then I had immediate advantage going into I didn't even have to defend on lap 1 going to the hairpin, so I think I built enough of a gap on the first lap and then just maintained that really. Well, Matt was coming through, a few at the front, and James and Pat were coming through as well. So,
I mean, you know, you've controlled this race, and you know, the first race was an anomaly with the tyres, but you must be aware that, you know, this track, it lends itself so well to slipstreaming, you know, that if you don't get a gap and the guys behind you are able to hang on, then they're not going to let you go, are they?
yeah, if you end up in a fight, there's no real way of getting out of it, really. Unless you get a gap on the first lap, there's not much you can do because the slipstream is so powerful down the back straight. It's just, you can't pull a gap at all, really.
So we've got 2 races to go, 1 heat and then 1 final. And at the moment, a second and a first, looking good, but also Matt's had a second and a first, so you know that you've got to fight for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I think I'm starting last, I think, in the next heat, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, that'll give us some entertainment. Thank you very much, Sam Faulkner. Let's go and chat with Matthew Pearce. Well, Matthew, second place. That was all you could do in that one. You know, you've got a good start, got up into P2 on the opening lap, but then Sam was just checking out a little bit by little bit each lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting third, I knew I just had to get on with it. Can't give Sam too much of a gap, especially around this circuit, like he said about the slipstream, so powerful. So try to get into second as quick as I could, which I did, but you need to be a little bit closer to take the advantage, and we were quite evenly matched on times, so in the end I just secured second.
Yeah, and you weren't to know what was going on behind you because it was an awfully good trap going on, but a lonely drive to second. But you've got equal points with Sam heading into this last race, and he's starting down towards the rear, so trying to take advantage of that?
Absolutely. I'm quite close to the back as well, so it's going to be interesting in the last race.
Good to see two of you tried to come through. So there we go, second place Matt Pearce in that second race. Now, if the racing at the front wasn't exactly the most exciting with Sam and Matthew, the race for third was one of the best we've seen all day. And James Lay, I can see you've broken a sweat. Tell us about that scrap there.
Well, I wasn't too aware of what was going on behind. There was a few taps now and then, but I just had to focus on what I was doing in front and just try and defend as much as I could.
Now, we've seen a lot of the younger drivers, they're constantly looking over their shoulder, which is a tactic a lot of younger drivers do, just to see where their rivals are. You weren't doing so much of that. How much of that is down to experience? How much of that knowing that who was behind you? Because it was a little bit of a family affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can usually tell who's behind you and where they are. So it's just down to experience, to be honest, and listening to where they are.
And so did you have a look around at all to see who was right behind you, or could you kind of sense it?
I did at the start after the first few corners, you know, once we settled into a rhythm, but after that, it's just, I don't know who it was.
Oh, really? So what is it like? There's 2 lays on the grid, you know, and what's the relationship, and like, you know, what is it like racing with another lay?
It's good. We just always seem to end up on the same part of the track the whole time, so ideally one of us would be at the front and one would be at the back, but it's never the way, is it? Never
the way. Well done. Good defensive drive for third. That's James Lay in P3. So that's the top 3 from the second heat in DRS125. There'll be a bit of a break here at the circuit now to get the drivers, and more importantly, the mechanics and the families a chance to recharge their batteries. We'll do the same thing, but we'll be back with a live stream here and at the circuit very shortly indeed. Don't go away. Race 3 in all the classes and the grand finals coming up at round 3 of the 2019 Daniel Ricciardo Series at Shenington in Oxfordshire's. Don't go away.